CAMH is the largest psychiatric service agency in Canada and provides inpatient and outpatient services. For the most part, a large part of the services are geared towards people with more severe and persistent forms of mental illness. We did a program evaluation in 2010 where we found across our outpatient and inpatient services that in the inpatient context, what was coming up is that what we refer to as the recovery orientation of care was quite a bit lower than the outpatient settings. And I think in part what that has to do with is a fairly obvious reason, is that when you work on an inpatient unit, you see people when they're at their most unwell, but you don't tend to see people when they're getting better and when they're getting on with their lives, because of course you discharge a person when they hit a certain point. So our thought was to find people who've done well in their recovery, who've been on our inpatient units in the past, and bring them back to the units for them to talk with staff about where their lives have gone, talk about their recovery experience, and give some feedback about care on the units. And the whole experiment here, I guess, was to see if you give inpatient staff a chance to have that kind of human connection and see where people's lives go, then it might change their perspectives on care and kind of carry forward into the care being more recovery oriented.
The program as a whole has huge goals in terms of really shifting the way that we do business. But unless we targeted staff attitudes and the values that we had, we were only going to be able to take that agenda, that reform agenda, so far.
The kind of work that we did to work on getting staff buy-in was really a very enthusiastic presentation about what this is about, to try and drum up some excitement. And then the other piece was to make people understand that this is mandatory. This is a part of people's job duties. As you would in any job, you have to take part in educational initiatives that are happening and are considered key to your roles.
My name is Kevin Harkey, and I've been called to give presentations here at CAMH for the speaker series.
So on and went, more hospitalizations, many more escapes.
Being able to sort of jump over the distance that was sort of created by my illness and the distance that happened was a bit of a boundary there. And doing the speaker series, I was sort of able to bridge that gap.
What I saw was well-intentioned hospital staff.
Opening up that conversation allows people to stand back and challenge the status quo, which was that kind of benevolent, paternalistic, I need to look after you approach, and really change that discourse to, wow, maybe some of the stuff that was happening on these inpatient units when you were here wasn't actually inspiring hope, wasn't about giving you choice, and maybe I need to do something differently next time.
I'm gonna speak a little bit about my treatment in CAMH. My name is Clive James, and the reason why I came to CAMH is because I have schizophrenia. I became agitated.
It's kind of bringing the quote-unquote patient perspective
Angry at the world.
to staff in a way that they don't tend to get.
Psychologist instructed me that I should.
And many staff have said they found it amazing to hear some of the feedback about what makes a difference in care.
I didn't understand my illness.
My big word of the day is about sustainability.
I was placed under the review board.
We're right at that kind of fork in the road that, okay, now it's the long haul. We've got to actually not lose the momentum that we've created.
So I'm going to mention 3 moments during the hospitalization that changed me.
This is not a technically hard thing to do from my perspective.
First, a really caring and intuitive doctors.
It's about a willingness, it's about an openness, it's about creating discourse around something that's fundamentally important in terms of recovery.
Stop contemplating about war.
Often an impediment to change can be this notion that some huge effort, some complicated initiative needs to take place to improve the quality of care, when in fact many of the former clients coming back say it's things like the staff member who used to play a game of ping pong with her once a day and take a few minutes, or just say good morning, or just to talk with them about things other than have you taken your medication, have you thought about suicide, those kinds of things. Talk with them about the hockey playoffs, or just to try and engage in kind of a human way that makes the person feel respected, and make them feel like they're in a place where caring is happening.
Give me a few months, give me half a year. Once a nurse says to me, "Clive, thank you so much for your story," I was more cheerful. They're happy to know that I'm in recovery, I have a job again, and I'm going to school. And that meant more to me than a pot of gold right at the moment.